Just to give you a little background on Dr. Lee, he was born in 1940 in Taiwan, and he's been a practicing Qigong master for much of his life. He's pursued a long life study of psychology, Tai Chi, the Tao, Zen, and calligraphy. And he served as a psychology professor from 1971 to 2008 at the Graduate Center in Brooklyn College of University of New York, and served as the chairperson of the Department of Psychology at Brooklyn College from 88 to 96. In 1982, Dr. Lee established the Tao and Zen Research Center to promote scientific research of these two great traditions. He's been invited to participate in energy Qi healing research projects for the Menger Foundation and Harvard Medical School. From 1998 to 2001, he was a visiting scholar at Academia Sinica in Taiwan, and has conducted research projects entitled Ki Culture and Traditional Chinese Medicine. In 1999, he established a new school of calligraphy called Ki Calligraphy, and in the same year, he was published in a book entitled Complementary and Alternative Medicine. He wrote the chapter on Qigong. From 91 to 2008, he's served as the president of the Golden Eagle, and currently he's still the president, as well as the president of the American Geology Research Center. Beyond all of that, why he's so special to us, he's been a great help in helping us get started here. He's also Kwan's father in Taiwan runs one of the biggest privately held Tai Chi schools in probably the world. Dr. Lee was Kwan's father's first student, so it's really special that he's here with us. So we're thrilled. And also, on another note, all the beautiful artwork throughout this building, we have to thank Dr. Lee and his wife, Emily, who actually painted most of the artwork. So thank you very much. So without further ado, Dr. Lee. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor to be here. And I think, just tell your story. Everybody has a good story to tell, right? And I was actually trained as hardcore psychologist. And so my degree is on experimental psychology and in psychobiology, right? So I did behavior genetic research and psychoendocrinology, and then I did research on hormones, how it affects development, and pheromones, which have to do with aroma and in animals. So I was as a trained scientist, and then why I'm talking about this topic, it's a very different topic. So in '79, I took a sabbatical, went back to Taiwan, and I gave a talk in the National Convention of Psychologists, and the title is Psychosocial Biology. And then I decided that I should pick up my childhood interest in martial arts. So a friend of mine, we went to learn Tai Chi. And this is, first one is not Kwan's father, somebody else. So then I said, well, I have to be serious about it, because I'm a scientist, right? So I did a long form, which you probably know, the Yang style. And then I said, well, at high school I started doing meditation. So I started meditation and pick it up again. So as I was doing meditation, all of a sudden one night, right, something moved in my body, right, in the body, right, and moved up. So as a scientist, as a psychobiologist, I thought, well, maybe it's the nervous system. So it's being activated. So look at the chart, but it's not. So I searched more and find out it's in the acupuncture chart route. And that surprised me 100%, because I never believed that's possible. And although I grew up in a culture which talk about Chinese medicine, acupuncture, meridian, and so on and so forth, but as a scientist, none of that is proof, right? So until I have that kind of experiences, then I thought, well, you cannot deny the experience. I mean, every time it sits down, it starts to crawl like an ant crawling the body, but it's a very specific route. It's moving, right? So I asked myself what it is, and then I decided that, well, the ancients have all these charts, and the books must have some meaning into it. And I think I cannot deny it. So I decided I want to study it. So I closed down my lab in the United States. I have about 3,000 mice in my laboratory. Because I was doing endocrine, genetics, and so on and so forth. And my friend said, well, Chin, what are you doing? I said, well, I think I have to devote my time into this part of the science, right? And so I start to study Tai Chi and Book of Changes, right? Right, you know that, right? And then Tao Te Ching, and then I studied canon medicine by Yellow Emperor, right? So when I came back, well, I have a sabbatical for 1 year, and then stay for another year to study with one's father. And then when I came back to the department, and all my colleagues say, Chin, you become a philosopher. I said, well, I didn't become a philosopher. I am just asking questions from different perspectives, right? And so scientists look for answer to questions, and philosophers doing the same thing, except this time my approach is taking an introspective one. Right? I'm looking into myself, rather than looking at the outside and you inject something to some organism and see what is happening. So you give them external kind of stimuli. So, and but being a scientist is a scientist. You cannot avoid from doing some scientific investigation of what's going on. All right. So I'm going to show some of my own research here. But what's most interesting is that when I was sitting, and then when things start to move, and I feel some kind of energy, quote unquote, Qi, right? And everybody want to know about Qi. So I said, what is it? And then turn out that sometimes you feel like it's almost like electric charge, right? And so one night I was doing meditation, and my wife has long hair then, sleeping on the side. And when I get these experiences about energy, right, I say, you stay on that side of the bed. I stay on this side. Don't touch me, all right? And because in the beginning, when your energy is not too much, when somebody touch you, right, you feel the energy is gone, right? So I said, don't even touch me, right? And so we have a gentleman agreement. So one night, after I finish my meditation, I stand up, and the room the light in the room is very dim, right? So I stand up, and her hair rises about 2 feet high. I was so shocked. All right. So what is this? Am I seeing something? Hallucination? So there's a tradition in terms of meditation that when you do meditation, you don't dim the light too much, because when you dim it too much, visually you may perceive something, and some of them could be scary, as you know. We talk about all different kind of things. So with that, and then I turn around and look and say, well, there's her, and the head's up. So as a scientist, I say, well, that's probably what's called static electrical charge, right? So what I did is I went ahead, and then I get a wool blanket, and roll it, right, and sit on it. And I do my meditation. In 5 minutes, I got sparks all over me, all right? Which means when I'm doing meditation, it produces some static electricity around me. So I said, okay, there's some basis for Qi, right? It's not my imagination, there's something going on, all right? And that leads to some research, all right? So I'm going to present this title, and I changed it a little bit. The original title is Ki Cultivation for Health, Healing, and Growth, correct? Right? I changed it to Transpersonal Development. The growth and the transpersonal development, growth could mean a lot of things, right? But when you say transpersonal development, that's more specific. That's more in the spiritual realms and other realms, right? Okay. But that's okay because I will explain it later. Okay. I'm sure you come here and you're interested in human health and healing, right? But I'm not quite sure you're so much into spiritual development, right? Most of the time we don't talk about it, right? But today I'm going to show it to you. Now, what's the model of health, healing, and growth, right? But I changed it to that. But for us, and I consider myself a Westerner also, because of my thought changes. The look is different, right? Most of the time when you talk about individual, you talk about body, mind, and spirit. Right? So let me ask you, in terms of body health, right? What is a healthy person? Can you define it for me? Yeah.
Somebody who stays alive by eating, drinking, sleeping, not doing things that human beings aren't supposed to do, like in our evolution.
All right. Once I asked a physician who is the top-notch one, right, in my community, and I said, well, so you know, what is a healthy individual? And this is a physician, this top-notch one. He said, well, when an individual is not sick, he's healthy. What do you think of that? Right?
Yeah.
That's our concept, correct? When you're not sick, you're healthy. Do you think, have you ever questioned that? Do you really think that when you are not sick, you're healthy?
I think if you feel healthy, you're healthy. I think you have to get that feeling of
Right.
being healthy.
But anybody else? Have you ever feel tired? So you're not sick. Have you ever feel exhausted? But you're not sick. Have you ever coughed for a month and then the doctor said nothing is wrong with you? So are you healthy? No, you cough for a month and then the doctor said you're not sick. So are you healthy? So we got to really think about this, right? That's why I put down optimal health. So what is optimal health? Now that's a question, for us, right? And then the same thing with the mind. Here we're talking about mental, psychological, right? So the practice of medicine, you have a physician that take care of our body, you have a psychiatrist take care of our body, but who take care of our soul or spirit? If we have, we talk about we have three, right? So this last one, who take care of us on that one?
Ourselves.
Ourselves? Do you have a soul? No, so if you don't know, if I don't know whether I have a soul or not, how would I take care of it? Right? Well, you go to the pastor, and the pastor say, okay, you got to do prayers, you got to read the Bible, and so on and so forth. But when you ask the pastor, what is my soul? How does he answer that? He assumes you have it. But do you have it? Can you feel it? Can you experience it? The answer is most people, I really don't know. I just trust what the Bible is saying, or trust what the pastor is saying that I have. But I really don't know whether I have it or not. So if you have that question, then how could you ask the question about optimal health of your spirit? I don't even know whether I have it or not. Body I know, my mental my mind, I know, but the other one, I don't. And so I'd like to find out your thoughts about spirit and soul. Can somebody tell me? So what do you think? And I want you to engage you into conversation.
So I think your spirit or your soul is what I put out when I'm talking to the universe, whatever it is I want or desire. If I'm looking for guidance or whatever, I put the question out there and hope for a response in some way, some fashion. So that's where I feel like my soul is.
Okay, so you put out questions, right?
Yeah.
So it is. So you think your soul is putting out your question, or your brain is putting out question?
Well, I feel like it could be a blend. I feel like I have a desire for something, maybe to feel healthy, or maybe for something to transpire.
So is that your emotion?
Question.
I think it's energy. For me, it's energy shared.
And it's
And it overlaps and it's everywhere.
Okay, so what do you mean by energy?
Your vibration, the vibration within you, and it surpasses, it's around you and inside you, and it overlaps with other beings, plants, everything. I don't think it's just a human experience.
That's a bit too general, isn't it?
It's a feeling. Feeling like, I look at it as like an electrical charge, and when you're in a room with people that are in the same whatever position or whatever, it's like a charge going on among the different people.
Okay,
And you feel unity with them.
So you're saying a feeling, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's use American expression, right? When you're attracted to other individual, you say there's a chemistry. So what does that mean?
I feel like for me, my soul is almost like an entity within myself that
Okay.
helps me make difficult decisions that will affect other people.
Okay, so that's, you're saying it's almost like an entity now,
That's
right?
just kind of how I feel.
Okay, I mean, if the body, you can see me as body, right? And the mind, although there's no entity, but I seem to know my mind because I'm thinking about doing it. But when it comes to a soul, we don't really have much ideas, but this is a very concrete idea. It's almost like an entity. And so if that's the case, yeah, it's almost like what is in a movie, right? Sometimes, yeah.
You carry with you when you go to the next life, if you believe in reincarnation.
Okay, but the question is your soul. So what do we know what it is? Something is going to reincarnate into something. So
Your driving force in life.
Yeah.
Driving force.
your driving force. Okay. Sometimes we say life force. Okay.
Is it like some kind of connection that universe or whatever, some kind of external God or something?
All right. So it's some kind of connection. You feel like you're connected to something, right? But could you really trust your feeling? Could our feeling sometimes be wrong? Could our feeling sometimes is false? Right, so it's still not very concrete.
Right.
But anyway, just open up a can of worms for everyone, right? I mean, okay, if we have three components, and if we want to have health, all three has to be healthy, correct? But current medicine just zoom into two, the body and the mind, and forget about soul or spirit. Well, at least nobody is talking about. Not too many people are talking about it in the sense of physicians or in medicine, correct? But now, I'm going to take you to the Chinese thought, right? And for the Chinese, this photo, if we can dim the light, this photo show you yin and yang, right? Okay, so photo is very pretty, so I want to dim the light so you can see it. And for the Chinese philosophy, right? And let's think about this one. Humans humans, us, we come from zygote. And zygote has sperm and egg. All right, correct? And the sperm is from man, and we call it yang. And egg is for woman, we call it yin. All right, so yin and yang, when they come together, all right, and they form the zygote, which split in 2 and 4 and 8 become fetus, become human being. But for the two comes together, and to work, there have to be something working. You know, when the sperm and egg comes together, in genetics we say, okay, that's a DNA. And it seems to be automatic, they are doing something, right? But for the Chinese, it's saying that there must be some kind of force, allow the two to come together and start to function. And we use the term life force, or life substance. Okay, like in biology, the greatest mystery is what?
Cells.
In biology, the greatest mystery is what? It's life, isn't it? You may have an organism, right? You have everything in it, but somehow, if there's no life in it, then it doesn't function. And how do you quantify life? Define it as a different story. But this philosophy assumes that there's some kind of life force get into this and start to operating, right? And we'll talk more about that. All right, so the Chinese model of an individual is from Yellow Emperor's Canon of Medicine. It says that human beings have 7 different levels instead, not just 3. Okay? So you could have what is called a body, right? That's physical, just like, you know, in the Western one. Then you have the mind, that's psychological, all right? And then you have what's called life substance, or life force, all right? That needs to be defined. Okay. Then we have what's called energy, qi. Okay, this is about qi cultivation, right? Then we have what's called sen, and this could be soul or spirit. So let me explain it. We all have 5 senses, correct? Have you ever seen individual, their eye seem to lose spirits, right? So we use the term spirit already, you understand it. What? You look at the eye of the individual, there's no soul in it. So that's sin, okay? But that's only 5. The 6th is our brain, in the sense of cognition, in the sense of thinking, all right? So it makes 6. So the Chinese have an expression called, even an individual with 6 souls, right? So with 6 souls, and the 6 souls are not at home. Or the 6 souls doesn't have a master. In Chinese, it's called 六神无主. But have you ever seen people like they're out of their mind? They're not crazy, but they're out of their mind. So their soul of the mind, the brain is not there. I'm sure intuitively you've seen those people. You talk to them, it doesn't seem to make sense, but they are not crazy people. All right. So the Chinese have the concept that we have what is called soul, or sen, and I'm just going to add my own thinking into it, right? If you have 5 senses, the Greek has this concept of 5 senses, 5 souls. Plus your cognition is a 6th one, so it's 6 souls, right? But something has to integrate these 6 together, and I call that spirit. Would that be all right? It's acceptable, right? Right? You have to something. You could be a person with all 6 components, right? But there seems to be no integration among them, right? So I'm going to use that. But soul sometimes in Western tradition have specific meaning to it. But I'm going to use it. Spirit is the one who will coordinate the 6 souls, right? All right. Hey, excuse me. Come back. then one can get into the what's called void and Tao. That means, as an individual, we should be able to get into a void state, and that's still us, right? And we should follow the nature, well, flow with nature, and that's Tao. Okay, right. So let me get to this a little bit more specific. We have the body, and we want to have the body have optimal health. And then we have the mind. We want the mind to have optimal health. When these two are optimal, then we have what is called life substance. And let me be specific about it. A mature individual, male and female, who produce egg or sperm, in Western culture, we kind of just wasted it. In the sense that, have we ever heard about the expression of pan-sex society? You didn't, right? That's my invention. Yes. Pan-sex society, which means what? It means we all engage in hedonic sexual pleasures. You see that in the films, right? The two major themes in film is sex and aggression, correct? And that's our culture, all right? And we're imported to other cultures also. So, for the Chinese concept, too much sex is no good. Because you wasted sperm or eggs. You just let them go. And the doctor will say, oh, don't worry, you're going to regenerate it. But the Chinese say, hey, you have to conserve it. Don't just use it. So let me use one example. A student of mine one time asked me to help his friend. I said, what's wrong with him? He said, well, he's in the 20s. He said, his friend is fine, his mind's fine. When you talk to him, it makes sense, except he has a problem. And the problem is, whenever he go to a job, about 3 months later, he quit and go to another job for another 3 months or so. And he's a smart kid, right? And I said, okay, bring him in. I look at him, and then I said, okay. I talked to him a little bit and I said, how many times do you do sex per week? He said, almost every night. And I said, how long? He's a young kid, right? Well, a couple of years already. So what do you think? Is that okay for him? Well, would that affect his health? What do you think? And the doctor would say, no, it's fine. I mean, you can regenerate sperm, so that's fine. But the Chinese said, hey, no, that's no good, right? Because whenever you can engage in sexual activity, although it's very pleasurable, it's nice, but you also release a lot of energy. And you may not recover that. And because of the low energy that you have, then your mind, you tend to space out, you tend not to be able to concentrate on your work. And that's why after 3 months, people fire you because you didn't do the job right. Okay? And then the other story is this, right? One of the students, when I was in India in Taiwan for 2 years, I ended up staying 2 years because of the study with Cai-Jian and Huan's father, right? So I get, young people, department professor, they all have classes with Huan's father. And so one of the students was a lady, and also at college age, and she spent a lot of time studying it because it's really actually very attractive kind of study. And then she never showed up again. So I called her and said, how come you didn't come? He said, well, I don't want to do it. He said, why? Well, I find out that I don't have any periods. Stop. And that scared her. I want to have a baby. So what happened is doing those kind of practices, you can convert sperm into energy. You can also convert egg into energy. And once it's been converted, right, like all energy can be transformed, can be changed, right? Once it's been converted, it's not there, and then you're not going to have a period, right? So in Taoist tradition, there's a practice for that, to conserve this energy and become part of your energy system and so that you can be healthy. And the theory goes that this energy can go up to the brain areas, so your brain doesn't age as fast. And so it's fascinating. Then, excuse me. Then you go to the Qi component, right? Here we're talking about if you know the acupuncture, right? The whole theory has to do with have enough energy and have balanced energy, and then also they stress on blood circulation, the microcirculation. So you have qi and blood, two different components. Right? And so when you have good energy or good qi, they will be healthy, but you have sick energy, then you're not going to be healthy. And the very interesting part of this one is, in Chinese, when they say you feel ill, right, we say produce sickness. But the Japanese, when they say when you feel ill, it's because you have sick energy. So the expression is when you're sick, it's because you have sick energy. And that's also in Taiwanese. Right? We also have some kind of expression like that. Now, so we have to make sure we have balanced energy, we have enough energy. That's why what I call it Qi cultivation. You cultivate your energy, right? And if your energy is balanced, you have it, good amount of it, then your soul would be fine. Your soul doesn't space out. Yeah.
Didn't you mention before that that Qi was energy and that is the spiritual self?
No, Qi translated into American term, right? Used to be called subtle energy. Subtle energy, right?
Okay.
But now everybody say energy, so we should understand. But the definition of energy in this culture could be electricity, could be electromagnetic wave, and a lot of different stuff. But if you just use qi or ki, it seems to be confined in the Chinese concept. All right, but right now it's a popular. For example, we were using a term, energy medicine, right? Have you heard of it? It's been popular now. And when they say energy medicine, it could be anything. It could be electromagnetic, it could be thermal, it could be all the other things, including the Chinese concept of qi. Right? Now, and then once your soul or shen is healthy, then you can transcend yourself into another state. All right? And that's the void state. Okay. Anybody who is who knows about Zen meditation, right? In the theory of Zen meditation is talking about nothingness, right? So nothingness is void, correct? But what is that? So let me ask you, right? Have any one of you experienced nothingness? If you have, raise your hand. And can you describe it a bit?
At some point in the meditation, to come to a state. In the meditation.
Right.
To come to a state when you have no thoughts, I would say like that.
Okay.
And the feeling inside is indescribable. It's hard to put it in words,
right.
But you feel that you in that emptiness.
Okay, all right.
And I don't know how to
That's okay.
explain the
Right, because
experience.
when you're going into transpersonal, sometimes words doesn't, you cannot explain it. It just you can talk about it a little bit, but if you don't experience, you don't know. So you're saying, right, no thoughts, right, and then like.
Those kind of feelings that cannot be compared with any other feeling.
Right. Okay. So like empty.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So no thought and empty. Right.
I would describe it as
not being in touch with my senses at all.
Okay.
It's not anything that, it's for me a feeling, but it is where I'm almost standing behind myself,
Okay.
experiencing
Okay.
myself in the world.
All right. That's 1 second, right? So what she is saying is that I don't have sensory or perceptual experiences, right? The five senses seems to be not there. Furthermore, there's somebody. It's not me. Somebody is looking at it.
Yeah, that's the witness.
All right. Okay. So well, it's become very interesting. Yeah.
In a similar kind of vein, as you were mentioning, in Hinduism, when you meditate, your mind becomes very quiet. You do not feel your senses are active, but you are the witness. You are watching
Okay.
what's come up.
All right. Is that your experience? What is the writing? This is very important, right? I can read a lot, and I can make senses out of what it is, but maybe it's not my experience. I'm just reading it, right? You raise your hand?
Yeah, I was just going to say something similar for me. It's always been
Okay.
just a total loss of feeling of the body, like your body. There is some higher self that's not your body.
The quote unquote is higher self. Now the words comes out, right? And this is not from writing. This is from your own personal experience. That's very important, okay? Because if it's writing, I can quote all different things. But if it's your personal, then we're talking about something that's real to yourself. Right, okay. Now, so in psychology, it's called alternate state of consciousness. We have regular state of consciousness, or we have what's called altered state of consciousness. But the term I use is called ordinary experiences versus extraordinary. So the 3 is extraordinary because it's not everybody feeling that way. Correct. So sometimes I would like to make the 2 as a distinct state, different state. Now, after Boy, you get into Tao, and I don't think the 3 of you are describing Tao yet. Or there's nothingness. I don't feel anything. Somebody's become looking at myself, but it's still yourself. And Tao is nature, right? Tao is universe. So you're not describing that. Can I say that? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But the canon made it say there's such a state, which means whatever is watching of us is gone. But somehow I can still sense that I'm with the universe, or what's called consciousness, quote unquote. All right? So there will be disappearances of self. Right? So then look at this, right? Oh, I didn't put down self here, right? So in the body, you have physical self, okay? Yeah. So that's no problem. In the mind, psychological self, we can have ego psychology, and I know my name, and so on and so forth. It's there, right? Then, in terms of life substance, there's no cell involved. I was explaining to you about how to convert the energy. So this becomes the energy, right? The next one, actually, there's an energy self. Somebody was saying that before, right? That I feel energy, okay? But think about this, right? You know acupuncture chart, right? Some of you, you're familiar with it, right? And you take the chart in a 3-dimensional things, 3-dimensional, which is like a model. You take the muscle out, you take the bone out, you take all the material out, you still have the human shape, right? Correct? And if there's energy in it, That's called energy self. And one can experience. None of us is describing it yet, but one can experience. So I put an energy cell there, right? And then we can talk about the spiritual self, all right? I was saying spirit is the one who's coordinated 6 souls, correct? All right? And it's almost like an entity. And then if it's an entity, then it's a self. Could we say that? Yeah, I think it's okay. And then, remember I say that when you have sperm and egg comes together and there's some kind of life force which make it work, right? So that's one. The other one is that there's a theory about when a child was born, then spirit comes, get into the child. Have you heard of that? Right? So at the time of birth, right, it's just a body. And then spirit comes and resides in a child. Okay? If we think about that, that's the original self. Okay? Have you ever seen, I'm sure you probably do, right? Like, when I have my grandson, right? And they're not talking. And they're at a very early age, and they'll stare at the wall, and smiling, and like talking to somebody. And say, what are you doing? Hey, come and watch this, read book. You get them out of that. Hey, maybe he's communicating with somebody else. Right? Okay, so let me use another example. And this example has to do with my friend Elmer Green, when I was doing medical foundation research, and he's the one who invented or promoted biofeedback. He's a father of biofeedback, Elmer Green, who is a very special individual. The whole family has telepathy and all other things, right? So his wife has Alzheimer. And when you have Alzheimer at a later age, the person doesn't make sense, correct? It doesn't really talk sense. But he took care of her for about 7 years, and there were times she would talk, make perfect sense. And the facial expression changes. That's not her, right? It's Alzheimer patient at some point the facial expression changes, like And what he's saying is that actually that's a spirit coordinate 6 senses and try to communicate with him in words, in words. Because otherwise, how are you going to communicate with somebody who doesn't talk? All right? Unless you go into your spiritual realm, you really know about your spirit, and you're into your spiritual realm, then her spirit and this spirit, they can communicate without saying anything. But when it's not, then when the person wants to make herself known to you, they have to use, the verbal communication. Right? So, all right. And the question actually have to do with, okay, how do I know that I have energy self? How do I know about my spiritual self? How do I know about my original self? And how do I know that I am with universe? Okay. Any question up to now? Yep.
Why is there emphasis on the energy self more so in your practice than the original self, the spiritual self?
Right. A lot of times, spiritual self and original self, you really cannot experience it. But when you can experience energy, then you have something to hold on to it. Otherwise, the other two is more conceptual. It's more like what you're reading.
Okay.
And what I want to say actually is that energy self in a tradition can be, I don't really have good American words for it, right? You can cultivate, or my words I can use it, you can cultivate your energy self into spirit. How's that?
Okay. That makes sense.
Because spirit, by far, the best way to understand it is energy. And in fact, we are all energy. We are all energy. You look at my body, it's energy. Because it's atoms, right? And it's elements. And when you dissolve them, they are all energy. When they come into a specific form, then you have a form. So mind you, later on I will talk about everything that we have to do with energy. I'll show it to you, right? Okay, human is an energy system. Any activity that we are doing, like walking, talking, thinking, emotion, sensing, they are all energy. And then we can compare this to, we have the brain wave, brain magnetic, neural, potential, kinetic, thermal, cardiac, caloric, skin potential. We are energy, except we don't stress it. We just nobody will take. So, very simple. Bring your hand out. Bring it very close to your face. And it kind of sense between your hand and your face. At some point, do you feel something? Warmth, that thermal energy. Forget about warmth, right? Bring it out a little bit. First you feel the warmth, right? And then bring it out a little bit until the warmth disappears and it can turn into it. There's something going on. Can you feel?
Yeah.
Well, what's that? That's energy. I mean, what else can you get? Except in Western culture, we somehow didn't get into that far, right? But in the Chinese and the Indian and other cultures, in Africa, in some tribe, they have out-of-body experiences, right? And then when they wake, and sometimes dream, they have it. And then when they wake up, they have to react what went on, right? And it has meaning to it. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I was instructed that we should have practices, but I spent almost an hour talking already, so I'm trying how to integrate the two into the lecture because I have about 30 of this, right? Okay. So why so much into Qi? All right, and if we are human and we are energy system, we have to zoom into the energy. And so the question is, what is Qi? Right? If I don't experience it, it's in the book, it's in my head. But if I experience it, I'm aware of it, it's something real, then I can do something about it, right? So here we're talking about subtle energy, yin and yang, heaven and earth. So the other one I was talking about, the first picture, right, yin and yang comes together, forms an individual, right? And then in the Chinese system of Qi or energy, we say there is external energy, there's internal energy, all right? And then we talk about oxygen, breathing, this external, and then we take it inside, this energy, inside, we can be converted into the internal, except within our body, inside, there is also energy, that's called internal energy, which flows in the meridian system, it flows in it, all right? And when it flows in the body, right? And so when the channel is blocked, then your energy doesn't flow through it. And that's why you have a lot of pains. Then that's where you have the myofascial pain, because the energy got stuck in the skin level, right? And also other things, right? And okay, in one of the research projects that was a subject in Menninger Foundation, right? I was major. My body can put up about 40 volts of electricity. I was sitting on a chair with glass on it, so whatever the static electrical stuff doesn't get discharged, it keep on being accumulated, all right? And you can measure that. Mine are 40. Another friend of mine is 180. And this is an Israeli who went to my friend's place, And one time I was attending American Psychological Association meeting. I went to one of the poster session. I looked at it. I was very interested. The lady came up and said, "You're interested in this?" I said, "Yeah, I'm very interested." He said, "Okay, how much do you know about the Qi?" I said, "Oh, I talked to him." I said, "Could you come to my house?" I said, "What do you mean?" I got this guy who stayed with me, and he's very powerful. He can generate a lot of energy, right? But something's wrong. Okay, so we became friends. And then I brought my son, went to her house in Colorado for months, right? And a lot of things happening, right? And this gentleman, Joseph, and I and a couple of people who went to Harvard Med School with David Eisenberg. You probably read his book, right? And so he did a demonstration. The whole room is pitch dark. You give them one of those tubes, right? You know, you can hold on his hand, and then it lights up. All right, so that's one. And two, you can have a quartz clock going like that, and you put his finger on it, it stops, and you go turn 3 times, it go pop, 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 turning, and couldn't stop. And so we have this in video. But Dave Eisenberg had all of them, then they returned to me. So, but he is the head of the largest rehab center in Israel before he came here. And the reason he became so famous is this. A stroke patient couldn't walk, right? And then talk to the patient, and the patient said, "I give up. It doesn't move." So they don't want to go into rehab, right? A lot of patients like that, right? I said, "Yeah, is that really what you're thinking?" He said, "Yeah." So, okay, you lie down. He lie down on the table, and then say, "Oh, move your leg," and it can move, right? So, "See, I cannot move my leg." He said, "Yeah, really?" And he just put his finger on it, and the leg immediately go like this, because he is putting out like 180 volts of electricity on this guy. And then when the patient look at it, "Hey, yeah, I can move it." So now you have confidence that you can move, right? And that's why it becomes so famous. And okay, so in Book of Changes, one of the theories that when the yin rises and yang drops, then it forms heaven and earth. And so it's yin rise and yang drops from heaven and earth, right? And one of the jobs that we have to do is we have to bring the yin energy and yang energy into our body. And that's how you increase your body, increase your energy. So there's an exercise for it. And initially, I don't really believe it too much, right? Before I have experience, but let me tell you this story. Remember I told you that I bring my son to this friend of mine in Colorado, right? And then she has a friend who is an MD and who is doing, like alternative medicine, right? And one day he said, "Well, Ching, would you like to come to my house?" And I don't know him too much, so I asked Carol. I said, "By all means, you should go." He doesn't invite people to go to his house. So I took my son, went to his house, and we sit there and we talk. I said, "Well, Ching, just go out and take a walk." So I took my son, we were wandering around, and there's a piece of rock. And when I got there, I said, "Gee, there's a lot of energy in here," right? So me and my son, we said, "Okay, let's go find out." You can feel the energy shooting out like this, right? So we go and explore. And up to a point, then I feel like energy shooting like this, right? So I said, "Bernie, just stay here, right? And just don't move, just kind of into meditative state." And he stayed on the piece of rock. And after a while, his stomach, his dungeon is so hot, right? I said, "Just stay with it, just stay with it." It becomes very, very hot, right? So he stayed with it. I mean, he's a high school kid, right? Stay with it. And then I said, "Don't move, wait until it's kind of go back to normal," right? And after 10 minutes, it went back to normal, right? What he's doing is getting the energy from heaven and earth and come into his dantian and store in here. Now this is in outside, right? In the natural environment. And I'm saying that you can do practice and get that also. And so after we went back, I went to my friend and said, "Hey, you have a so, your house is so nice. I said, what do you mean? He said, what do you mean? I said, because so much energy in here. I said, and he just smiled. He said, thank you for telling me. Because I told my friend, I invited them to come to my house, I told them this energy, they said, you're crazy. I said, no, you're not crazy, it's true. So let's prove it. So we went out, go to his house, and get a compass from a large ship, right? Like a boat, right? And we now measure it out. So this is north and south, this is north and south, parallel, right? That when we get to the rock, every 3 degrees it turns, every 3 degrees it turns, every 3 degrees it turns. So it's, the magnetic output is so powerful, right? So we have a chart, and then, okay, I'm sure you heard about vortex.
Yes.
Well, that's what it is, right? And so I told you about the key system, take everything out. So that's your energy cell. The question is, can I feel that? And you feel it, then you know it's there. One time, I was giving a lecture out in what's called Council Grove, which is by invitation only, and they are all quote unquote weird people, right? They can feel, they can tell the future, and so on and so forth. And so I was giving a lecture, and one of the physicians at the end saying, could you check me out? So I said, hey, you don't have much energy over here. And then, do you have any accident or something in the past? No. I think, so he thinks that I'm weird. So 3 weeks later, I get a letter. Oh, yeah, when I was 7 years old, there's a car accident, his head bam in the window, so he forgot about that, right? And it was very uncomfortable for a couple of years. And because when it hit your head, your meridian, remember it's a body, and got a kind of like harm or hurt. And the Chinese have a concept, it's called internal wound, so internal injury. And it's not like Western medicine about the scar tissue and so on and so forth. It's not, right? It's something that's hurt inside, which didn't heal. So we have the concept. So he said, okay, you are right. I have this accident years ago, so that may have something to do with this. So what I'm saying is that at our age, we all have injury of some kind. You bang into things, you sprain your leg, you do all different things. And does that have any impact on your energy flow? And from this perspective, definitely. And I could even show you, right, that where you have problems. Okay. All right, and let's probably do this. Okay, I'll go through this very quickly. And then, right. This, unfortunately, is in Chinese. I will convert that into English, right? But let me just do this, right? Over here is a balanced state of energy. So your energy is very balanced, all right? And you just think about balanced energy, and you have a lot of energy. You have abundance of energy. But sometimes there's an external factor. Sometimes there's an internal factor. External factor, the weather, the accident. Internal factor, the emotion, the fight, right? Which would upset your energy. I'm sure you understand it. When you fight with your husband and you're angry, right? Don't you feel like you're upset? And when you're upset, could you say, well, like your energy is being upset? Intuitively you can understand that, right? So when that happens, then you have a disturbed energy state. So this is not balanced state, this disturbed state. When you have enough of the disturbed state, you may have symptoms. All right? And the symptom could be physical, it could be mental, it could be spiritual, it could be energy. Remember the 7 components? Right. Now, typically when you have symptoms in a Chinese system, you go to Huang, they read your powers. They look at you, we ask you questions, you give you diagnosis, right? Then that's a Qi diagnosis. whether your energy, some place has more, other has less, and so whether it's kidney, whether it's large intestine, and so on and so forth, right? And then he would treat you, use acupuncture, herb, and so on and so forth, to bring energy, disturbed energy from the symptom, right? Because you are complaining, bring it, and then he said, okay, this bring it into the balanced state. That's the Chinese, right? In the Western, you have symptom, you go to the doctor put you through all kind of tests. And then the result of the test, according to the result test, say, okay, you have arthritis, you have, anxiety, and so on and so forth. And then, what they are treating the illness, treating the symptom. There's nothing about energy. Correct? And right now, we are so good that you don't have to go to the doctor. You type in your symptom, and the computer say, hey, you can stomach ulcer, you can this and that. You don't need a doctor anymore. Correct? And then if you go to see the doctor in a big city, they give you 5 minutes. They don't even listen to you. All right. What do you think of that? That's a big, a kind of, not quite suitable to us, right? Okay. And what's interesting is, whether you have an illness or not, is the machine is telling the doctor, right? And the doctor is telling you. So it's a machine is doing it. The doctor doesn't seem to play any role. So what do I need him? I'll get a physician assistant now. I go to my doctor. Now he has a physician assistant. So you talk to him. So it's the whole thing is I think it's a bit messy. Right. So what I'm telling you is that the Western doctor is treating the symptom, right? Right. And the Chinese doctor is treating one step ahead, energy disturbance. Okay.
What is the first, what is that called?
Right here?
Yeah,
Okay. That's the balanced energy state.
balance energy state.
Right. Okay. So remember the optimal health? Now optimal health is not having symptoms. It's not. Right? Because the doctor say you have an illness, they give a name, right? So if I don't have illness, I'm healthy, right? But this model is saying that it's not just that. You get to go back to the balanced state. And when you have balanced state of energy, then you have optimal health. All right, in our culture, we still don't have that yet. Okay, it's probably going to be years before we have that. And the beauty of this one is, you have a cough, you go to see doctor or see Kwan, and they look at you and say, hey, your energy is out of balance, do this and that. And then when the energy is in balanced state, your symptoms gone, and then you don't have illness. So you can catch the illness much earlier than when you have severe symptom and then get illness and then treat it. All right, I'm trying to, in this lecture, I try to bring the Eastern thought and Western thought together so it's easier for you to integrate it, right? So, I don't want to show that one to you yet. In the Western medicine, we have the concept of homeostasis, right? We have equilibrium, we have dynamic interaction. What does it mean? It actually means energy function, correct? So, I'm hungry. It's because my digestive system is out of homeostasis. So I got to eat to balance it out, right? My neuron fire too much, so it's out of equilibrium. So I have to bring it back. But we're not talking about energy. And so in the Chinese system, usually they talk about, then in this Chinese system, we talk about the dynamic yin and yang interplay, Tai Chi symbol, which you are not familiar with, it's moving around. Okay. And I just put this one in there, right? Even in physiological, in our physiological system, there's also yin and yang, right? You have the passive state, you have active state, you have resting potential in neurons, you have action potential, right? You have the relaxation, you have fight and flight and hypervigilance. We have a normal, as a normal individual, we may have an anxious individual, have anxiety and panic attack. Then we can have introverted individual, we have extroverted individual, and so on and so forth, right? And now, in this culture, everybody wants to have like peace, serenity, and resilience, and so on and so forth, right? Okay. Now, about here. We are so much into fight and flight now. The estimate now in this society, we have 4 million people has anxiety. And the amount of money that you have been used and drawn into that is a lot, right? And naturally, there's different reasons for it, right? The political and the wars and the global, kind of things. So the world is not as stable as we think it used to be. So we kind of, and they have this all kind of vibration out there, talking about energy, right? So now I'm going to show you one thing. We become hyper-vigilant. We become hyper-vigilant. I took it Bronx Zoo. The monkey, if you ever seen them, they're always looking. They're always checking, some danger is coming. And we fastly become like that. Right? And naturally, that's not such a good. Okay, so research, I've done it for Flower Tower and everything. I'm meditating from 1 to 100. The nice things about this culture, in terms of bringing up the kids, is we don't use punishment, particularly physical punishment. I'm sure you read in the Chinese newspaper, kids are now writing, they spank them like in Singapore and so forth, right? And we invented what is called time out. Kids, when they don't believe, time out, right? Which means you go to the corner. And I invented time in. This is my grandson. He came to my apartment, he was jumping up and down. I said, hey, stop. And he's very excited. I said, okay, you have to do time in. He said, what do you mean? I said, go sit down on the couch and you start to calm down and start to do 1, 2, 3, count to 100 and count it very slowly. And he did just that. And I used my iPhone to take a picture. And I wrote a haiku. And the haiku is actually my grandson taught me how to write haiku. He said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have to count to 100. It is my time in, right? So 5 syllables and how many syllables? So anyway. This is the research, right? We all know about alpha state, which means relaxed state, correct? So when you do meditation, then your brain wave slow down to the 8 to 12 cycle per second. But you are not into that 0 to 4 cycle per second, that's falling asleep. So you cannot fall asleep. And so we did this research, people comes in and you check their brain wave, it's very fast. They ask them to do energy meditation and slows down to alpha, which make you less anxious, right? So that's one. It's in biofeedback training and it's being used for dealing with ADHD now. But look at this. talking about body sensation is gone, right? The brainwave is gone. So you are into the void state, the brainwave. And I talking to my friend, said, this guy's in coma. I said, what do you mean by that? That's me. And the brainwave is almost 0, right? Supposedly this guy's in sleep from 0 to 4, right? I can hear way out. This is in a laboratory, in the Medical Foundation, right? It's probably the only one in the world that you see this. First, my friend had to go and check out all the machine and see what is wrong or not. But this is 45 minutes. That's 45 minutes. So into a great, like totally, we talk about empty state. Now, this is a bit hard to see, but look at the activity here, and look at the activity. So there's more activity over here, right? And there's less activity. This is after the meditation came off, and my friend said, do you want to do something that you like to do? I said, yeah. So I like to do Tai Chi Chuan. So I did Tai Chi Chuan, right? If a normal person have a brainwave on one side like this one, and the other side like this one, he's in a dissociative state. He has big problem. Dissociative state is psychological disorder, right? But when I have this one, I'm doing Tai Chi, right? Now, remember, when you're doing Tai Chi, you're almost empty, correct? So you're not using your left hemisphere. Oh, no, you're not, let me just, okay, you're not, I don't want to get it. All right. One of them is right, one of them is wrong. This is left, and this is the right. Now, right hemisphere has to do with like emotion, like have to do with music, and left hemisphere with languages, correct? Mm-hmm. Right. So when I'm doing movement, predominantly I'm using the coming down in terms of my brain. On one side is level, on the other side is active. So you split the brain into two. So one side of the brain area is still active, and the other side is not active. So you're able to split the two, right? So on the, since I'm moving, so my left, my right actually is more active than the other ones, right? So there's such a changes that goes in there. And this one has to do with this. Let me just show it to you, right? That's alpha. Okay. This is a fireman. And a fireman, at some point, that individual doesn't want to go to the workplace, right? They have stress out, right? So, but he likes it, he wants to continue to do it. So he said, well, and in the meantime, he has high blood pressure and anxiety and so on and so forth. He said, he wanted to participate in the work, so he wanted to find some place can do the work. And then he was taking medicine, drug for a while. So he said, okay, you can come in. So we trained him for 13 weeks. And at the end of 13 weeks, his alpha wave comes up, which means what? He's a lot more relaxed now, right? He went back to work. And the same thing, he has a tool that when he gets anxious, then he'll go inside the room, he do meditation, calm himself down, and comes out and go to work. And this is using meditation, cheap meditation, right? Here comes the practice. I want you all to get up. So I hope that I convince you that energy is important. Energy is the core concept for health and healing. Do you have any question on that? You're pretty convinced? then I'm doing a good job. All right. So the question is, so what is energy? And how can you experience the energy, right? Okay. So I want you to put your two hands and bring it closer to your face, right? And bring it closer and closer until you can feel the warmth. And you can get into a kind of meditative state, which means a kind of calm state. Can you feel the warmth on your face?
Yes.
Anybody cannot raise your hand? Well, you can all feel it, right? Bring it even closer. See whether you can feel that the warmth intensify. You can feel, right? Bring it out a little bit, see whether it is less. And bring in and see whether it's more. Just to feel it. This is to increase your sensitivity on the thermal energy. All right? Everybody can feel it? No problem? All right. Now I want you to bring your hands out a little bit until you don't feel the thermal energy. And still feel there's something in there. That's very critical. Because now we are not talking about thermal now. And if you cannot feel it, bring it closer to feel the thermal one. And then bring it out a little bit until the thermal one is disappeared.
I feel a pulsation.
Okay, good, right. So anybody couldn't do it? You couldn't do it, right? Okay, bring it closer. You feel that it's warm, right? Bring it out a little bit, tiny bit, until you don't feel the warmth. But there's something else going on. And you have to go back and forth to try it. You have to kind of a bit close your eyes and then just get to it.
If you got cold hands, can you
Then you just
feel
rub your
it?
hands.
You just rub your hand?
Right. That's the reason I asked Quan about the room temperature. It's too cold. It's just very hard to experience it, right? So you can rub your hands, get it warm, and then you can feel it, all right? Who still cannot do it? Raise your hand, right? If you still cannot do it, do this. Bring it to your face. It's very easy to detect that. And until you feel like warm, and then bring it out a little bit just to feel that it's not warm. There's something else. All right, some people you can do like this and they can feel it. At a distance they can feel it, right? Feel it? All right. So anybody can do it? This is important because we're going to go further with it. You can, yeah. Right. Okay. This you feel. All right. If everybody feels it, then you practice this until you can feel. This is the awareness of energy. You're not aware of it, then all the training that you're going to do seems to be guiding by the blind person. But you're aware of it, then you're sure that it is there, right? Get that? All right. Now, next one is going like this. You're 2 feet apart, just like in Tai Chi. And you do a quarter squat position in ski. In ski, you have to do quarter squat, right? Like this one. Then you bring 2 hands very close to each other until you feel the warmth in it. Can you feel the warmth? All right. You feel the warmth, then take it out a little bit, and then bring it closer a little bit to feel that aside from the warmth, which is thermal, there's something else. Your hand has to be very relaxed. Right. All your hands very warm. Okay. That's relaxed. Because when it's relaxed, the blood flow is better. Again, bring it in a little bit more. And then bring it out a little bit more. And you can feel it at a distance, you just play with it. You can feel it, you can play with it. You can just play with the energy. Right, you feel it. And then you feel this energy, you can bring it to your face. Right, okay. Could you feel? Okay. And then you can bring it out, bring it in. And then you can stay longer. And then there will be activity going on in there. Anybody couldn't feel it? Right, you could, right? All right. Then what you do is this. go like this. Now you bring it up like this until you feel it. You go from the top gradually down until you feel it. Once you feel it, stay there. Right, go down. All right, go down. Stay there, and then bring it up a little bit, and then drop it down a little bit. And you can see there's an interaction between the two palms. Sometimes it's like attracting, and sometimes it's repulsing. Right? Mm-hmm. We feel, and then if you take your right hand, you make a circle. You can feel something down there. Mm-hmm. Right? Feel it? And then you make a right circle, you make a left circle, and that's in acupuncture where you know, when you turn your needle. Feel it? Okay. It kind of don't get so happy. Get out. and please, right? Just get out. Everybody get out. Right. I don't want you to play with it, right? Too much, right? What I taught to you, I don't want you to play too much because sometimes what happens, your energy goes out, and then it depletes your energy, right? So I'm going to teach you more, but something I would say, I'll say when it comes to it, right? And the reason I say don't be happy is that to really feel the energy, the very, very minute energy, you have to kind of close your eyes, kind of empty yourself, and then you can really feel the subtlety of energy. But when you're happy, you may not feel those kind of very subtle energy, right? So let's do it again, all right? You can smile, it's okay. All right, okay. Again, a quarter squat position, right? And the hands, you can bring it in, and once you feel it, then you can do something about it. You can bring it out, you can bring it in, you can turn it around, and then move around. You feel it? Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, you can just drop down a little bit. The hands, yeah, that's right. Okay. And then you can bring it in and then go down with it. And then drop it down, touch it a tiny bit, right? Drop the hands down. Right, just relax. Okay. Turn the head down a little bit. Down a bit. Go down a little bit more. Okay, that's good. All right, for one thing, take your watch off. You have it, particularly when you have a metal band, take it off. Because when you generate energy, the energy gone through the metal band, right? It just goes out so fast. All right. Some of you can come up a little bit more so that you won't be so crowded. All right. All right. Okay. Now, try to not to go this way, right? Bring this one in. And the reason being that if you do that, the acupuncture point over here, then opens up and the energy can circle. If you do that, you probably squeeze it, circle like this, all right? Drop down a tiny bit. Down a little bit. Down just a little bit. Okay, that's good. Just relax. Okay. Very good. You feel it? Okay, your hand. Look how it's charged with energy. All right, if you have a ring, try to pull the ring off. Probably cannot. It gets stuck. Right? It's hard to pull it off because your hand now have a lot of energy on it. And then in therapeutic touch, this is the energy they're using for healing. But I would say don't do it until further training. Otherwise the energy would be going into the patients, all right? Okay. All right, you got it? Okay, get up. Tell me what you experience. Now walk around. Tell me what you experience.
I feel some kind of tint.
Oh yeah,
Hot.
right. Like tingling sometimes,
Yeah.
pricking
Yeah.
kind of things. Anybody else?
And warm and tingling.
Warm and tingling? No? Okay.
Felt almost like meditation in a
Yeah,
way.
right.
Yeah.
This is,
Very fast.
this, later on I'll show you, this is for standing meditation. And you could, if you really get into it and stay for long, you can also get into a void state, just like sitting on it.
Very circular.
Oh, yeah, okay. So there's a lot of activity going on, yeah, right?
I could feel almost like a mass, just
Right. It's almost like,
something.
it's like something, right? And sometimes you feel like it's so dense, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Warm, okay, good. Oh, you could, right. That's the reason I say you can get it here, so you put within. Okay. Sometimes you do it like this one, it's going to be. Yeah, right.
stronger.
Yeah, right. This one is in here, right? Okay. Pressure, right? Finger. Pulsation, right, okay. Excuse me? Oh, okay. So, okay. Yeah, sometimes there's almost like a rhythm to it, right? Okay.
I feel like a little pressure, like push.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes actually, sometimes you want to kind of lower it, and sometimes something is resisting, and sometimes when you put it together, all of a sudden they pull it together. Yeah.
I felt the mass.
You felt the mass, right?
Feel that resistance.
Oh, okay, all right.
Fluid.
Fluid, right? Okay. Tingling.
Tingling, but only in certain positions.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I felt tingling as well.
Okay.
Yeah, tingly, and then when I was like this, I felt like round things going around.
Right. Okay. Warm. Right. Okay. Now we're going to do one thing, right? See what you can put into one circle. Back into one circle. See what you can do that. And kind of you put your hands out, right, to the next person, and right hand is up, the left hand is down. Okay, right hand is up and left hand is down, and right hand is on top. Right
hand is up.
Right hand is up. Right. So right hand on top, left hand in the bottom. Right? And then it kind of
Right hand is up.
All right.
Right hand is
And
up.
drop it down a little bit.
Oh, it's right hand?
Almost touching
Right hand
it.
is up.
Okay. So what I want.
This is up.
Right hand is up, left hand is turned, right? And almost touching each other, but you can feel something going on.
Okay.
See what you can feel. And just relax. All right? Okay? Try to feel. Can you feel the other individuals? It's like a warmth energy now. Now, you're not experiencing just your own energy, you're experiencing somebody else's energy, right? And there's an energy connection, correct? Right, all right. So now, you can stand over here. No, fine. Put your hands out, all right?
Yeah.
So, okay, everybody quiet, all right? What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to move, you don't move your hands, all right? I'm going to move mine and try to see what you feel on your palm, okay? So go down, like everybody goes down, drop down, right? And feel the connection, right? Okay? You feel anything?
That's freaky.
Right? You feel it, right? Okay? We just relax. Now you feel it? Okay. Get up now. If your mind is like empty, your mind is empty, you can feel there's something going on in one direction and then the other direction. All right. Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
That's exactly what acupuncture is doing. They go this and then turn this way or turn this way. Right. So now you experience energy, right? Correct. So now, does it make sense now? And now, does it make sense talking about energy self? But practice this, right, at home, and you don't have to do those crazy things, right? What I want you to do is drop it down, like for a squat, doing this, drop your head, like have a smile on your face, and stay there, all right? And I want you to do is that you have to be able to stand there for 45 minutes. And once you're able to do that, you're going to have optimal health, all right? It would be very difficult. About 2 minutes and you say, hey, but every day. And the reason I'm saying this one to you is because of my own clinical experience. I have, well, you know, people refer patients to me. I don't have any clinic. But there's one time, there's a gentleman called, it's about not even 60, say somebody from Cornell Med School asked him to call me, and he has prostate cancer. Got all the treatment and in remission, but sometimes the marker is still up, right? So you want to get it down. So I said, okay. So he came over, we talked, and I checked the energy out, and I said, okay, cancer really have to do with stress. So I asked him, what do you do? And he has a big mortgage company. Whenever you have mortgage company, it's $5 billion, 5 million, 10 million, $100 million kind of thing. So he's doing it. I said, well, consider give that up. He's almost in the 60s, right? Making enough money. So who is helping you out? He said, well, my children. I said, okay, give it to your children. And you just back it off. I said, okay. I said, you got to do this. You have to be able to do it 45 minutes, until 45 minutes, right? So once he started to do this, then his market drops, all right? And he was so happy for about 6 months. And then later on, he didn't show up. And then 2, 3 weeks later, he shows up and say, I look at him and say, what did you do? I mean, well, what's happening? He went back because he was doing a $10 million mortgage. And his kid cannot handle it because, you know, large amount, you have to have trust. So, you know, whatever you say, if we're at some level, oh, I say, yes. When you have it 40 years old, yes, it may not be, yes. I said, wow, you got to back off that. And if you can afford not to do that, then come back 3 months later, I get a phone call from his son. His father passed away. And then he said, but I want to say thank you because when my father was with you, he was so happy. All right? So when I say 45 minutes, doesn't mean it's for real, all right? Okay. So we're going to do it now. We're going to do it maybe a couple minutes and increase a little bit. And sometimes you may feel that it's very strenuous on your back. So you got to do the back exercise to relax it because you're not used to this posture. You may not do it right. All right? Okay. You can turn your things off. All right. And then you can dim the light even more. Can you dim the light even more? Yeah. Okay. All right. That's good. All right. All right. And what I want you to do is like this, and I'm going to come to correct your posture, right? Okay. So in ski, for the squat position, your hands up here, you feel the energy, you can initially bring it up together, and when you have more energy, it's going to go like that, right? The energy is going to grow, right? All right, and so start it, and then it kind of lower your head a little bit, and it kind of in a meditative state, all right? Just a little bit like this, drop down a tiny bit, yeah, right. Drop. Oh, okay, that's good. So it's different. You bring your hip up a little bit. Oh, okay, that's good. Okay. Okay, drop down. Oh, okay, that's good. Okay, that's good. Drop down from here. Okay, that's good. Yeah, right. Okay. Drop down a little bit more. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. Down a little bit. Down a little bit. Okay. Here, down. Just a little bit. Oh, that's good, right? Yeah, you got a lot of energy. Drop down. Okay, that's good. Just relax, relax. Down a little bit. Just down one. A little bit more. Okay. Okay, at times you feel like you're going up and down a bit. Okay. So how's that feel? Your knee is giving up now, right? Okay, get up. All right. So some of you may do this, right? And then it will start to go like this. And some of you may start to go like this, right? And like natural, right? And that's because part of the reason is because when the energy you want to push through, it's being blocked. And then when you went up and then down a little bit, just try to stay with it, not to move. Because if you stay with it, then the energy will open up the channel. If you go up and down, the channel will not be open. Okay? All right. Okay, now, yeah.
So is the energy moving the same like if you're standing? Like,
There's different way of doing it.
but it's the same energy movement, like it's an internal energy?
Oh, this is the whole energy system, right? When you do that, the energy comes this way, it comes up here, all right? And when you do that, energy comes up here and it comes up here, right? So, okay, please, okay, grab a chair. I think you need it.
I still have a question about how my feet were feeling during that posture. Should it be evenly distributed between sort of the balls of the feet and the front of the feet? Front of the foot?
It should be evenly distributed. But this now that's okay because ideally it should be evenly distributed. But individuals' body is not the same. Some may this, some may that. But ideally, right? Okay. So up to this point, I'm going to ask the question. And usually the question was answered at the end of this the lecture. So how do you feel? I mean, what is your, did you get anything out of this so far?
I feel like energy is still running.
Oh yeah, you run.
Yeah.
And in that case, you should drop your head down, right? Drop your head down because it should go like this. But let me use her as an example, right? She was asking me about sleep. Will this one help sleep or not? All right. Well, this we just generate your energy movement, and because it's like this, so energy going up here, comes back down here, and circulate like this, right? Right. But when I raise my head like this one, the energy got here and got stuck. So energy will be here. right? So I say down, and then you go like this. When you make it front, when your face is very tight, the energy doesn't go down. So I say smile, and it goes down. So whatever I say has a reason for it, right? So you have to open up this. You don't want to stop here. You don't want to go like this, because once you go like this and go down, the channel here opens up, and the energy will go like up here, coming up here, comes down, and to the hand, because your hand is like this one. So you move to the side, move to the center. And from here goes up to here and go like this one. That's called micro-orbit circulation. I'm sure you've heard of it. Right? It's a micro-orbit circulation. It's from here, down here, goes up here, comes up here. All right. And I didn't say anything, but usually I don't say it, because when I say it, then you have to look in the book and you say how it should be. The true practice is, if the posture is right, if flow is nature, it should happen that way.
What time of day should you do that? Is it something you do in the morning? or
Anytime.
Any time of day?
Yeah, the modern days man or woman, just anytime. The ancients, they would get up in the morning, do it when the sun is rising, but modern man doesn't have that luxury.
I have a question that's kind of outside of what we just did, but what you had spoken about earlier.
Right.
So, would it be incorrect to say that we are entities? Like for the purpose of the PowerPoint, like, are you saying that like human beings were bodies and our minds, as minds, were entities? Is that?
Well,
because our bodies aren't entities, right? We're not things.
so let me kind of clarify a little bit, right? Whenever we say entity, it seems to be something that's not material, right? So it's an entity. Okay. But there's the other side, say entity, it means an individual. Okay. So as a human being, we're all 7 of them. Usually, we zoom into the body, all right, as a physician, or we zoom into the mind as a psychiatrist. But we don't actually zoom into the spirits unless you go to church and then you belong to some kind of religious group, they will talk about it. But again, not very specific.
So it's body, mind, and entities are like spirits.
We can say entity is the spirits. We can say that, right?
Okay.
But I was doing a kind of more finer distinction between different things, right? So let's say body and the mind, then we talk about energy self, which means the energy which is residing in the body as a system, that's the energy self. Sometimes when your body sensation is gone, you may feel the energy self as a body form. Sometimes you feel, sometimes you don't feel, right? And then so the energy self, in a way we can say it can be visualized as an entity, right? But it has a shape, okay? But usually when they talk about spirit, and spirit can be an entity, but the shape can be changed. Not human shape, right? That's more in terms of in line with most of the religious kind of teaching, right? Okay. Is that clarified?
Yeah.
All right, okay, that's good. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
In regards to that position,
what position?
The standing position, where should our breath be focused?
Don't be worried about it.
Breath.
There's a lot of teaching out there talking about breathing, right? Don't even, well, the logic is very simple. What I asked to do, your mind is not engaging it, right? Correct? Is your mind engaging in this?
No.
No. Whenever your mind engages in something, you're using energy. And you're using the best of the energy in physiology. Because brain actually use the most precious sugar. All right? And so if you don't use it, then you're preserving those things. but you're using, you're putting it out. And according to the philosophy of flow is nature, then you should just flow with it, rather than engaging yourself, try to do something, all right? And I correct your posture is because that kind of posture is a correct posture. If you go like this, then you got stuck over here, because you have to use a muscle strength, all right? So you go like this, and then everything just drop down. So you're not using anything to carry the weight. All the bone, all the weight is going down into the foot, right? So you're not using any extra muscle strength, except we're not used to this. So it's very strenuous for our leg. And mind you, when you're doing that, all your leg muscles are cramped together, right? And then it closes down your artery and the vein. So you cannot do it for too long. Because your lactic acid cannot move. And so then what happens is your heart has to pump it. And once you can do it for 3 hours, then everything is open. And your heart is... So it's different from running. In running, after you're running, your heart just go back to normal. There's no conditioning. In this, you're conditioning your heart. Because, I mean, if I ask you to do 10 minutes, right, your legs probably shaking like this already, right? Because your muscle is so tight, and the acid cannot move out of it, and then you get fatigue. Remember Charlie Horse? And I know students ask them to do it for like 45 minutes. Next day, he could not walk. The muscle is also, so, right.
You had mentioned that you were treating somebody who had a trauma that had an energy blockage. That exercise you just did, would that work through a blockage?
It would take time to work, but sometimes what you can do, because it is a physical damage, right? So a good clinician will be able to feel where is the blockages, and then you can actually release it.
Okay.
And if, without that, you can still do it, but it takes longer time for the energy to push through it.
Okay. Okay. So if you're working with, I'll just, for example, I work with veterans.
Oh, yeah,
veterans. So they couldn't engage in an exercise like this. Maybe they could, but it would not.
I give them like a minute, 2 minutes, but the other way to do it is this, right? For example, like there's a veteran, they have injury, right? So you can roll like this.
Okay.
And you feel this, right? And that's the blockages. And you help them to move through it.
Are those all my blockages?
Did I tell you everybody has it? Did I tell you everybody has it?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, come on. We carry weight, and my wife's purse, I couldn't hold it for too long. You got everything in it, and then it weighs quite a ton. So you have to use your muscle. It's a blockage. It's in a sense of tension. We will go to that, right? So everybody has it. I mean, just that's nature. And veterans, and then football players, and athletes, they get kind of like one time. Who is this guy? The New York Jets. The most famous quarterback was his name. Long time ago.
Joe Namath.
Right. Joe Namath. His wife came to me and said, "Can you help my husband?" And he's just on drug because he got hit so much, right? And I didn't do too much because sometimes when he at a point, he really cannot do much. I mean, the whole body is like here, there, everywhere. What are you going to do with it, right? All right. So let me just do this, right? So I hope that I convince you that you can be aware of your energy, right? And once you are aware of energy, then you know energy. You don't have to read. Whatever description is out there is description, but this is what you have, right? So that's very important. The next thing is that we're doing this one, and then Quan was teaching in his Tai Chi class doing bear movement, right? And then you kind of calm your mind, stay with the feeling, then as you're doing their movement, you can feel energy moving through, going back and forth. You can literally feel it. And that depends on how calm your mind it is, right? And also depending on whether you can release this tension. Once you release it, you can feel more, right? And so far, any questions? Yeah.
I have a question. Why do you use Chi spelled Ki versus the more? What's your reasoning behind that?
Well,
Because
Chi or K in Japanese, Ki, right? In Japanese, Ki, correct? In all the time. And that's the correct spelling. That's the ancient spelling, right? And pronunciation. Where I come from, I'm a Taiwanese, and I still retain the ancient dialect.
Oh.
All right. The Mandarin is modern pronunciation. All right. So where I come from is the ancient one. The ancient one is called Ki. Oh.
Ki.
Ki. Right. That's why you use it. And there's another reason. If you pronounce Chi and Ki, which one you are releasing more energy?
Ki.
No. Which one you are releasing more energy?
Ki versus Chi.
Chi versus Ki.
Ki.
Chi release more.
Yes.
Chi 叫 Ki. Taiwanese would say Ki 跟 Chi. And so that's the reason I change it. A lot of people, when they are reading the Buddhism or Buddhist sutra or Bible, right? They did it all wrong. They did it in Mandarin. In Mandarin, typically, you release your energy. So the more you read it, the more you're depleting your energy. In Taiwanese, it's different. So Taiwanese is back in the when the monk went to India and then came back and then translate the Indian sutra, right? They are using that language to translate it, right? And so the sound is closer, but when it comes to the Mandarin, it's a different pronunciation, and actually it releases more. So I know a guy, I went to visit him, he doesn't have to go to bed. He doesn't have to sleep. I said, so what's your secret? I said, what do you do? He just recite the Buddhist Bible, right? I said, well, I mean, that takes energy. He said, no, because they did it all wrong. Yes. Let's say, let me see, sorry. Well, we talk about Chi and Ki. Chi, right? Chi, Ki. That's different, right? And then Cha, is different. Cha, different. So whenever you are reciting it, you are always using energy to like dispel your energy, and after a while you run out of your energy. Right. So there's other reasons for that. Right? Yeah.
So is Ki internal and produced in the body, and Chi is outside of us?
Well, there are two in terms of Ki or Chi, right? You can use Chi, that's okay, but Ki. There's an internal, what's called intrinsic energy, or intrinsic Chi, and extrinsic or external. External mostly means breathing. Okay. Internal has nothing to do with breathing. Like our standing meditation, there's no breathing, correct? But did you generate energy? Yeah, you generate a lot because you cannot take your rings out. Right? So that's the internal.
It's not internal because it's not voluntary.
Well, internal or intrinsic means what is there already.
Okay, intrinsic.
intrinsic means what is there already. And then when you say external, it's something coming from outside, right? Okay. All right, any other questions?
I have a quick follow-up question to his earlier question. When these cameras that can take the color
Thermal.
picture of the
Right, that's a
auric
thermal.
fields,
Right.
what self is that capturing?
Okay, there are two things. One you're probably
I mean,
referring
I
to
don't-
color photography, right?
Yes.
Right. But color photography, there's a lot of issues about those things, but essentially they are talking about taking energy that is radiating out of you.
Out of us.
That's right. So in one of those things I was going to say that, all right. When I ask you to go like this, right, you feel energy. It's energy outside of your body, around you. But that's still internal. That's from inside you're radiating out. Some people can be like this, some you don't even see it, you don't feel it, which means your internal energy, the amount of internal energy, when you have a lot, it radiates out. And that's why you attract people. That's why people like to be with you. So we say there's a chemistry. But there are people, their energy is so limited, you don't even want to go near them. I mean, I know there are people, you just don't want to get close to them. All right? So there are different, there's a lot of, actually in American language, there's a lot of vocabulary that are used have to do with energy.
But this energy that we can feel just outside, so take away the Kirlian photography, this is part of the Ki system?
Right.
Not the
external.
Yeah, the two above the Ki, there was...
the Sin? Right.
Yeah.
No, we're still in that energy realm.
Of the, yeah, okay.
In the realm. Right.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem at all. So we won't do the bear movement, all right? We did the first one, we move our hands and play with it, and the bear movement, just you go to him, then he will teach you. All right. And then, okay. So preparation for Qi circulation, and this is what I want you to do. Every morning, when you get up, when you do the brushing and so on and so forth, massage your head, right? Massage your face, massage your earlobe, right? Massage your hands, massage your toe. Maybe in the evening when you go to shower, you can do your hand and toe, right? Because these are all, energy have to run through the whole body, all right? And it went through here, and it went through extremities, right? And most of the times, people can have cold hands and feet, which means the blood didn't reach there, the energy didn't reach there. And in a Chinese medicine, for blood to reach certain place, the energy had to be there first. So your energy goes there, the blood then follows. So massaging, that can guarantee better or optimal circulation of your blood, which is the vascular system. And then also, you can, when you do massage, you actually open up the channels for it. And one recommendation is that you should massage your scalp. So use the comb, not to comb the hair, but to brush your scalp. Most of the time we do our hair, right? So and when you do that, then you're massaging your head already. And we tend to use buffalo bones comb to do it, because it's bone, so it's closer to human tissues, right? So do that, and the Chinese have a system where, and the formula was proposed years and years ago, right? There are 13 different things in the morning. You do this one, you kind of exercise your teeth by like pretend you're biting on something. That would strengthen your gum and your bones, right? And then you stick your finger into here and then pops it out, so to exercise it. They're all different things, but it just massages this place a little bit better. All right. you have to be some in the front, some in the back, because you're going to spin around. So you're going to hit each other. All right. Yeah. And what I want you to do is this, that you move your waist area, and they're kind of fast. When you move fast, your hand will spin with it, right? Feel it? Like your hand is spinning it, right? Correct?
Yeah.
And then a bit faster. And when it's a bit faster, your hand is hitting your body, correct? Then you form a fist, all right? Then when your hand hits your body, use the fist to hit, right? Got that?
Yeah.
All right. Do it a bit harder. A bit harder. How's that feel? Did you feel like you're massaging yourself?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So let me just show you one. We have two big muscles over here, right? Go all the way up here. Usually they're blunt because you carry things and so on and so forth. So you have to release the energy being blocked over there. All right. Then shoulder, right? And then our thigh. All right. So we have to break the tension there. And then the arms, you have to break the tension. So let me just do it one good demonstration, right? Okay. You don't have to do it, right? Let me show it to you. Okay. Now I'm going to do it harder, right? Right? So you can do it up to this point. If you can do it up to this point, then you know, if there's a car accident and so on and so forth, you can flow with it, right? But you don't have to do it so hard. The purpose of this one is to release the tension of your muscle by pounding on it. All right? And when you pound on it, the muscle is released, the blood energy will release, and then it will facilitate the movement. And so we can do it like almost inch by inch. Right. First, I want you to do it around here, because this is where, you know, in terms of like prostate gland and you know, urinary system, and when you get old, we used to have problems, right? So I taught one of the gentlemen who has a problem. He had to go to the bathroom all the time. Then after 3 weeks, he can just go once, and a couple of hours later he can go. He doesn't have to go to every 15 minutes. So you start here by here, all right, in the center, and then on the side, all right, and then on the side, and then back here, here, and then here. Okay? So it's almost the upper part of the body. So you go like this in the center, all right, in the center, you gotta turn yourself, and then when your hands fall from high to low, then it's going to be pretty heavy, correct? Right, go like this. In the center.
Sorry.
And then when you do it in the center, you feel like it's a bit like not comfortable. Then do it more. It's like there's something in there. So do it more in the center. And until you can do it very hard and it didn't bother you, then that should be okay. All right? And once you can do that, no. Hand hits the center. Hands hit the center. Right. When you drop in the center. Right. Drop in the center. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Always fall in the center, right? Okay. Then to the side. Okay. So like here on the side. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all right? And you can do 20, 30. And then once you have this one, then you go into the joint. Because a lot of people have joint problem. Okay, so you go to the joint, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right? And then once you have the joint, they go to the kidney area, right? Right? Can you see it here? Right? See it right here? Okay? All right. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right? Kidney area. All right. Then go to this area. All right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? This is the rib area, rib cage area. Then go to this area. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So people have lung problem, ask them to do more of this. Okay, and then go to the shoulder. All right, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so you just do it in a sequence. And this way you can release all the blockages, so also help energy to move. So aside from massage, do this. Okay? Good? All right. More. So the function of this one is to release blocked energy, and then you will relax the muscle because you break the tension down, right? And then you could also strengthen the bone. The last one is actually more important because when you go inside, it's going inside the bone. And remember, the bone, the more exercise in the bone, the stronger it is. All right? And doing this energy work actually will save a lot of dental bill. One time I went to, it's an accident, so my 3 teeth was knocked, and it's like hanging, right, like this. It's like loose. And then it's painful, so I went to the dentist. The dentist said, oh, we gotta take it out. Right? I said, not yet, all right? I want to save it. Just give me pain medicine, right? And I'll come back 3 weeks later. And 3 weeks later, you say, I have to take it out. We'll take it out. So I said, okay. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, I'm going to do Qigong, right? He said, oh, Qigong. So he gave me the pain medicine, it's not hurt. Then I push it back, right? Push back, and I do meditation. 3 weeks later, I went back, and he moved it. Oh, no, you don't really have to take it off. We can give it another 3 weeks. So I saved the 3. And then he was my dentist, right? So I said, okay. Like years later, about 10 years later, I went back to him. Then I had this idea, I said, why don't you give me an X-ray? When I first had the 3 teeth almost knocked off, right? We took X-ray, and the X-ray now, in compare, and when you take it out, you couldn't believe it. The tooth, 10 years later, is like thicker than when it was out there first. So it gets stronger, right? He said, now every time I go to, he said, let's go home and do Qigong. That's one. The other one is that my tooth, in Taiwan, you just don't take care of the tooth. So it's all crooked, right? So I went to one of my friends and to do implant, right? So you got to put the bone and everything in there, and then finally you want to put a crown in and stuff like that. You have a drill, right? And then you put the things. We were pushing and pushing very hard. And I didn't know what he's doing. And finally he get a hammer and he go, hit it right in there. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I don't know, how come your bone is so strong? Usually, a patient comes and just push it in and right in there. You guys have to use the hammer to hammer it in. Because the bone is so dense, right? So I'm going to show you just one thing to convince you that the bone can be strengthened, right? It can be almost like a piece of rock, right? No. So that's called tiger's bone. And when you do this, strengthen the bone there. So the last one actually is this. I didn't ask you to do it, don't do it. Okay. Now, it's almost 3 o'clock here. 15 more minutes, so let me do this. Now the breathing exercise, right? This is important. I know some of the things, exercise, you won't be able to get through it. Western physiology is saying that breathing is abdominal movement, correct? But if you watch each other, where is your breathing takes place? Upper chest, right? Most of the upper chest. So your lung function is maybe 65%, number one. Now, according to the system that I was telling you, it has to be the whole body breathing. When you breathe, then the oxygen should get into the bottom of your foot. So it's the whole body, right? Which is different from abdominal breathing. When you get into whole body breathing, you're opening up capillary systems. And capillary system in Western medicine is the most important system because it carries nutrient, oxygen. If the capillary system is no good, the cell around there will die. And that's why your retina detachment, right? That's why there are other illnesses like liver problem because the capillary system doesn't go all the way into the surface of the liver, and so the cell on that level will start to die. And if it doesn't reach the first level, it die. If it doesn't reach the second level will die. If it doesn't reach the third level, the third level will die. So your liver is dying, right? And this exercise, prostationic exercise, will push it open. That's why in some of the Chinese medicine, some of the liver illness recover because of this regeneration type of things, right? So let's get up. Remember, this is external energy. When you take it in, it could be converted into internal, all right? The first one is we're going to breathe so that the oxygen is going to reach the top part of our lung, right? So the same thing, hands like this. Inhale. When you inhale, like inhale. So you inhale, this part, right? And exhale. Right. So you inhale to this part, correct? Right? Okay. So inhale. Use your nose. Then exhale. Then inhale. Then exhale. And you have to go as far back as you could, right? Inhale. Go back. Go back. Go back. Then exhale. And the nice things about this system is when you go back, you're actually strengthening your back muscle, right? So it is, serve good purposes. So this one, then you bring all the oxygen into the top part, right? The next one, you keep, all right. This one is a bit tough, right? But I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to breathe in, right? I'm going to keep this quiet, but open up this, right? So what would happen is when my air is coming up here, my shoulder is going to open up, and I don't force it. Okay. So just watch it. So do you see movement here? It's here, right? So you bring the oxygen here. Okay? Now, I'm going to keep this quiet, and when you breathe in, it's in here. Okay? no movement here. It's here. It's harder to see it because of the clothes, but it is going to expand over here, right now here. Now I'm going to keep this quiet and this quiet. Okay. And this, I'm going to breathe through here, but that's more difficult. So the way to do it is when you exhale and you pull the muscle in here. When you exhale, right? Okay, there's no movement here, it's in here. Okay, now, I'm going to keep this part of the body, the top part, quiet. And when you breathe in, you breathe in here. And to do this one, you have to do it slowly, okay?
A lot of people can't see.
We can't, can you move back?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, sure. I see you. Okay. So when I breathe in, the top part of the body is quiet, but the thigh will expand. Right. You gotta do it kind of slow. So there's no movement here, but it's actually going here. And then the last one is when I breathe in, you breathe it into your foot. Okay, and then you know the size of your shoes now. Then later on when you do that, you're able to do it, your shoes become smaller because your foot gets bigger. Right. So So then the last one is this. When I breathe in, the whole body opens up. That's the whole body breathing, right? So this way then oxygen goes through the whole body. All right? Okay, and that's different from, in physiology we say abdominal breathing is just over here, but the whole body has to expand and contract, Okay, and that way you're taking the maximum amount of external energy or oxygen into your body, go into the blood, carry into different part of your body. Right, so it's a very good exercise. So that's the external one. All right?
Are you doing it mentally as well as?
Well, naturally you have to involve your mind saying that I want to keep this quiet, and I breathe in, it's only here, so it's going, this opens up, right? And then close, and then so your mind have to engage in this. All right? So should we try? Right, let's give it a try. Okay. Put your hands here, right? Lower abdomen, and put your hands here, and try to make sure this doesn't move. And when you breathe in, it's open up the chest. Okay, so you exhale first, and then you inhale. just continue, right? And just do one thing, right? And close on. Close it. Huh? Okay, so can you feel like you're opening up here? Because you try to not to move this, and then you keep on sucking it in, it have to go to somewhere, and it usually ends up here, right? And then you want to, you put your hands here and put your hands in here. When you inhale, it has to be here, because you try to keep this quiet, and it'll be here, all right? And then you want to be here, then put this hand here, and when you exhale, you have to exhale first, because this is the difficult part. You exhale and you pull the muscle in here, then you'll be able to do it. All right. I didn't realize it is 3:28 already. So you have patient outside say, "Oh, are you still in class?" So you probably want to take care of them.
No, I don't have any.
Oh, there are three patients, three individuals out there. So let me do this. Let me kind of try to wrap it up. Okay, please have a chair.
Are there two kids out there, or just
Excuse me?
two kids?
Excuse me?
Are there children up there? No.
Out there, there's a couple with a child. Three individuals out there.
That's me, I think.
No, I don't think so. Is it Chinese?
Yeah.
Oh, that's me. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But I think there's one child.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, good. But don't worry, media is taking care of it. Okay. And then I have more, right? So I told you earlier, right? That it's going to be hard. But let me just go through it.
You have to tell them, when you do this breathing exercise, you have to exhale first. So the inhale has to be there.
Right. You exhale, and then you inhale. Right. Okay, it's a breathing exercise, and then we have this, and that's to increase external energy, right? The oxygen, and then we do standing, that's increase internal. Remember I told you about my son's story, right? And then we have to do sitting meditation, and this is to bring the energy stored in your dantian, or what's called energy ocean, Qi, right? So your energy is stored here. The more you have, and your body will change shape. You're going to have more energy comes up like this, right? And ladies hate it, so. And walking exercise, just to make sure that your energy gone through, and right. And then I invented a particular form of exercise, and then Tai Chi, medium is offering that, and then there's a transpersonal component, and here you have to experience energy cell. Once you experience that, then you have to be able to experience a void, and that's through meditation, either sitting or standing, and then you have to experience that down, so that it will be like with the universe. And in the Taoist system, they have an interesting practice that I, with intention, call all my relatives and children, say I'm going to say goodbye, And he sits there and say goodbye, and he closes his eyes, and then it's gone. Bye. And it's gone. back to universe. There's a practice for that. Right. So, and then, for them, the purpose of life is going back home. And universe is my home. So here is temporary. And we can all argue on that one. And so the conclusion, cultivation of energy is critical for health, healing, and transpersonal development. Balance and abundance could lead to experience of bliss, satori, discovery of key self, original self, cosmic self, unison with the universe, all right? And then theology-based practices, what I show it to you, is really, designed to reach those areas. And then I have what's called energy management program, and this program is actually help us to regulate our energy in our daily life. We conserve it, we don't deplete it, we don't exhaust it, we can rejuvenate, we can enhance it, we can store it. So there are different concepts in here, and there are practice to go along with it. And we're able to, so what I propose is that instead of American culture or coffee break, right? I call it energy break. So usually coffee break is to get rid of our tiredness, correct? All right, the boredom. But if you take an energy break and you do standing meditation for a couple of minutes, your energy, you got to recharge, and then you're almost like a new person coming back to the working force. So that's, okay, that concludes today's lecture. Any questions? I think medium, if we have time, we can have entertain questions, right? Yeah. Okay. Any questions here?
Definitely. You're talking about sort of reserving energy.
Right.
How do you feel about exercise, I guess? Because it feels like that conflicts, if you will.
Well, let's say jogging. Any activity is using energy, is depleting energy. So jogging, weightlifting, you're depleting energy. Except, right, you also take in food to supplement it. Correct? Right? And so you feel like there's a trade-off. The more you take in, the less you get out, then you become obese. The more it gets out, the less you take in, you become slim. But we are talking about calories. We're not talking about this energy. Right? It's caloric energy that we're talking about. So exercise is good for the heart. But you have to rebuild it by eating more food. The intrinsic energy is, in this culture at least, there's no way to get it back. That's why aging. I have a model which next time I have a model talk about, birds, and then your energy sort of increase, intrinsic energy up to a point, it tops off, and then every day it gets less and less and less, and when you don't have any, then you're gone. And the question is, well, when it's dropping, how could I stop from dropping? Or how could I get it back up? And if you can slow down the dropping, then I slow down aging. And I can get it back, then it's anti-aging. And anti-aging is easy. It's not difficult at all. Look at us, right? As we are getting old, it hurts, I walk slow, and so on and so forth, right? But if I can give you the exercise to bring it back into the normal state, aging, you're anti-aging already. Correct? So it can be done. It's not difficult. No, it's conceptually it's almost impossible according to biology, right? Every age, and then you get gene for aging gene, killer gene. But in Taoist practice, well, you look at this guy. He's like, 70 years old, And then after you do this exercise, he's like 65 years old. His energy level, the way he's talking, so it's amazing. I can do that. I'm 76. He's 73. So we could prove.
I have a question.
Right.
For any of us that are involved in the healing profession where we have to touch people as part of what we do, is there a way that we can keep our energy?
Right. I gave 2 lectures on a program designed for continuing education for nurses, for counselors, and this question comes up. Because when you're dealing with patients, right, you have love, but there's a natural way of energy exchanges, right? When you have more energy, it naturally goes to less energy person. That's physics. So you're dealing with patient, and they need energy, your energy just naturally goes with it. There's nothing wrong with that, except that we don't have a system to regain it, so we age with the patient, right? And so there was, the way to do it actually is, when you finish a day of work, right, you go home, you do your energy. Remember, you enhance, increase your energy. So when your energy today is like this, after the patient is more like this, sometimes you don't even detect it. Right, next day maybe like this. But you do the exercise, you go back up. And you do more, 45 minutes, go up here. So you have more than before. So that's one, right? The other one is usually American concept of interaction is looking at the eye, right? And there's a lot of exchanges in there. And what I do is, when you look at the patients, you don't have to be straight in the eye. It could be off a little bit. Your care is still there, your love is there, but you're off a little bit rather than direct contact. Just off a little bit, right? And that way the energy exchanges. It's interesting. I mean, eye contact makes a lot of informational exchanges, right? Sure.
Right. Thank you.
Right. And there's postural stuff, right? Sometimes when even though the energy flow and you want to do something, instead of going like this one, you're going like this a little bit to stop the energy from flowing through it. So yeah, different ways when you do it. Thanks. All right, any more questions? No?
I had just a quick question about, so a lot of the work that you've shared with us today, conveyed, is this available on the Kiology, you have a Kiology website, or it's?
I haven't read anything yet, but I wrote an article in terms of in Chinese. But that's one article I wrote for. This was published in a journal called Longevity in the 90s, and it's called Qi Gong Hao, right? I have it, so you can print it out, you can distribute it, and I'm planning, well, Emily, my daughter, everybody say I should write a book. I said, okay. So I haven't get there yet, but it will be in book form, probably soon.
Cool. Very nice, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Right.
I've been told that I have very poor circulation in the extremities.
Right.
Would there be a way besides that just for specifically focusing on?
Right. So one thing is you do massage, right, and also on the toe, and then I would advise you to take like a hot bath rather than shower. Right, so you go into the water, which is warm, and you do massage in there, which would open up the circulation, and you can do it 3 times a day. I'm sure that will be gone. Like in terms of my hometown, we have plenty of gas, right? Yeah. And then we have this wooden tank, and we boil the water. And every night we jump in there, and then perspiring, enjoying it, and no one has a problem with this because it's inside, right? All the circulation is being opened up. So a spa could be, but let's spend money, but hot bath at home, that should do it.
And massage.
And then naturally, in terms of your diet, diet really, in energy, yang energy, and in terms of this, then you have to speak to the media about yang diet, meat, beef, and those things. So you just get a balance of it. Should be all right. And that's the least of problem. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you again.